What's good, everyone? So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how fatigue and poor sleep can actually make you fall backwards in regards to like fixing bad patterns and even attachment issues. And the reason why I can talk about it is because I went through it myself. And you can also train yourself to be resilient and solid even when fatigued, but there's a way to do it. It has to be gradual. So the thing is that you see, there are certain things that in life you're just good at naturally. You have a talent for it. And what you're going to notice is that even when you're tired, you can still perform in that specific thing or activity. However, there are things that even when, let's say, you're at full power, you still struggle with. Well, guess what? These things that you're going to fix over time. Let's use attachment issues because it's going to help understand what I'm trying to explain faster for you guys. Is let's say you're a man that is very anxious, meaning you overthink a lot and you try to please the lady that you're seeing or you're dating or even your girlfriend, and you're very anxious, okay? What's going to happen is that, let's say you're working through letting go of that anxiety. As you're consistently working through that, you're going to see progress over time, right? Because you're putting in the reps. You're learning to trust yourself. You're learning to trust others. But the thing is, what you will notice is that on days where, I don't know, like maybe you had a bad week or you've been sleeping very poorly, which could kind of like be due to the fact that you got anxious. Well, what's going to happen is that it's going to feed that anxiety more. And you're going to notice that the level ups that you did with your confidence are kind of going to like disappear just because you're tired. And what happens is that when you're tired, your defenses go up. Your brain goes back to what it knows because it's not at its optimal level. So you got to be aware of that. And if you are aware, you can fight it off better. And I'll give you an example. For myself, in 2023, when I would have phases where I would get really anxious, because I wasn't aware that it was because I was just simply tired, I would spiral. And then I would be like, damn it, I'm falling backwards. But it's like, no, you're not really falling backwards. If you let it make you fall backwards, yes, you're not going to level up and you're going to regress. But it was actually because I was simply just too tired, and things that would not normally trigger me when I was actually fully aware, fully there, fully functional, well, now they trigger me. So once I started becoming aware of this and I was like, oh, it's because I'm tired. Yes, I would still get moments of anxiety, but I was able to be like, Chris, it's because you're tired. So now you're being triggered easily just because you're tired. So I like to use the Dragon Ball example, is that it's like when Gohan is weakened, well, it's easier for people to beat him up because, you know, he's not at his max power and he's not like trained anymore. So that's how I would say it. And yeah, now what happened with me is that because I've trained myself over and over in good conditions, meaning making sure I sleep well. Well, what I did sometimes is when I was tired, I'd be like, look, I know I'm tired. Now it's time to train my nervous system to not get anxious even when I'm tired. And it wasn't easy, but I managed to do it. So now what happened is that even when I'm shit exhausted, like I am done, like I just want to go to bed. I'm talking about days where I wake up and I'm already thinking about when I'm going to bed. I'm like, we got to get through the day. Zero anxiety. Like super chill. That's why now lately it hasn't been happening because I fixed things so well that like I'm rarely completely like dead. But I remember days where like I was super exhausted, just ready to go to bed, and things would happen left and right to me, and I was cool. I was chill. And it's not because I was tolerating because I was afraid to put my foot down. No. There are things that are just, look, things happen in life and they didn't trigger me. I was able to do what I was supposed to do. even if I was tired. And that's when you know you're really badass. Because let's be honest, in life, you're not gonna always have the perfect conditions, especially when you start dating someone. It's gonna get challenging sometimes, like, because now you gotta it's not that you gotta think about the other person 24/7, is that you gotta think about the other person in a sense that you don't know what's gonna happen with them, so they can throw something at you and you gotta deal with it because they're part of your life, right? Well, that's the thing. Now I can deal with these things super easily because I've trained myself to that. So sometimes somebody's gonna throw something at me out of nowhere, and I'll be like, all right, so like, what are we gonna do now? You know, but I'm not gonna like spiral and be like, oh fuck, like they're messing up my day and everything. There's none of that anymore. Why? Because I've trained my nervous system to be chill even under pressure. And that's a level that it's not just any man that can reach that, because already most men, they have trouble dealing with certain things even when they're at full power. Like, let's say their weaknesses. I managed to train my weaknesses even fatigued at low energy and like extreme fatigue. But damn, does it give you an edge on the mass, because you pretty much become unstoppable. You're able to roam through life, whether it's a bad day, good day. You get things done if they need to be done. You're not gonna be whining or dwelling, or sometimes you gotta learn also to be like, I'll sit this one out. Meaning, that's more with my workouts though, not like everyday little like I call that little life situations. But with my workouts, I'm super self-aware. If I wake up and I'm beat up and I'm tired mentally, but I need to work on technique to keep progressing, because there are ways to approach training even when you're fully exhausted that you can still progress over time, when most people would say you should stay home. But we're talking, you're purely working technique. We're talking, you're not even putting 50% of the load. It's technique work purely. And the thing is, I'm aware, I'm like, yo, you're not gonna lift heavy shit. And me, with my past behavior, where I always wanted to push, I'm able to control now. I'm like, yo, you gotta sit this one out. Like, you're not in shape to do anything crazy, but we can work the technique to keep thriving over time. So when you come back 100%, that technique hasn't polished, even though you were not fully mentally available to train properly. So yeah, so it's a very short video, this one, because it's focused on being fatigued and working through patterns and attachment issues. And the message I want you to get through that video is that you need to be aware that being fatigued will affect pattern reconstruction. So if you're trying to stop a bad pattern, you got to be aware that when you're going to be tired, you might fall back a little bit. And if you're aware of that, it's okay. It happens. You know, in life, it's like that. It's 4 steps forward, sometimes a step and a half backwards. But you still did 4 steps forward. So if you do the math, you're still 2.5 steps forward. But you got to know how to preserve it. What most people do wrong is they do 1.5 step backwards, and then they keep going backwards, and then they fall negative. And that's why they always do a vicious cycle, and they feel like they never grow through the years. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If yes, you can leave a like. You can maybe put in the comments if you can relate to this, that like, oh my God, it's true. When I'm more tired, I tend to fumble myself more with certain things in life. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out the future content. It's going to be very exciting. See you guys soon. Take care.